Alright. Should be recording. I see the file recording and OBS says it's recording, so I think I'm recording. Anyway, continuing in Mad Max, key was originally provided by WB Games back in 2015? When it released, because I reviewed it then. Yeah. That's all I got for that. I do have notes on things to talk about. And I'm trying to remember what it is I want to do. I want to do that. And I'll be honest, the way this week has been, when I started this up, I was like, what is it that I know I had some plan, but I didn't remember what it was. Then it's like, what was it? Oh yeah, that's right, there was some mission to do. So I do have notes. Okay, let me... Yeah, I want to talk about the PCI SIG thing that I think is just stupid for various reasons. The AMD Ryzen thing that I actually did mention in the video game news roundup thing. Talk a very little bit about the RX 6600 release. I've not really looked at much on that, but there's one thing about it that I want to say. Let's say a Windows 11 thing, and yeah, I can start with that. NVIDIA is ending support for Kepler, which, you know, it's not that unreasonable. It's, I think one place I saw it said 12 years old. I don't know if that's actually right though for what I have. That might be 12 years old since the 600 series. I've got a 770 though. So that was second generation Kepler. Yeah, it's like it's old, and it's also not so much that it is old, but it is a different architecture. Kepler was in some ways derived from Fermi, but Maxwell definitely changed things. You can't say that Maxwell and Kepler are all that related. So it makes sense then that, you know, you would see but ultimately lose support, as opposed to, you know, with AMD, which for a very long time continued to support all of GCN.
Don't scrape her, fool!
And I think it actually has, I think AMD has dropped some support for the older GCN stuff, but it's not as bad a situation. I don't quite remember, but it is still just, you know, the whole... It is a different situation with AMD. But the fact that you had so many GPUs with such similar designs definitely helped. I mean, this is terrible. Okay, good. It looks like they're finally starting to just get out to fight. There we go. But because of that, I do wonder what I wind up doing with the 770. Just I don't think I would get rid of it. But, you know, maybe I don't keep it for use in a... Maybe I don't continue to try using it for, performance analyses. I don't know. It's not something I need to worry about just now, though, because I haven't finished up the GPU thermals article I've been working on for a while. I have like a little more than 50 pages left to edit that, which 50 pages is not as much as you may think, but it still is a tedious, still is tedium that I have to go through, so I don't know how quickly I'll get it all done. So yeah, now the thing they have at the top is, of the notes, is PCI SIG, which is the standards body behind PCIe. And apparently they are at least considering, I've not looked into this too much, it's been a busy week, as I said, looking into a new power delivery standard-ish. Basically a new cable that could supply, I think in theory, was like up to 600 watts on a single cable. And it's like, okay, yeah, that actually would be a lot. 600 watts would be a lot on a single cable. But this is why I think this is stupid. And by the way, the cable itself looked a lot like an 8-pin with an additional like 4-pin connection thing attached to it as well. So yeah, it's not like the what was that, 12-pin? No, 12-pin is the ATX 12VO. What was it that NVIDIA put on their Founders Edition? Ampere? Yeah, Ampere. What was that? It's not like that. It's not that silly thing.
A mighty duster!
It's like an 8-pin with this additional thing attached to it. But here's why I think this is stupid. These current power delivery standards of 75 watts from the
Watch the angel. When you're ready.
from the PCIe slot, 75 watts from a 6-pin, 150 watts from an 8-pin, are old. Like that has been standard for many, many years. To the point that basically any good quality motherboard can drive more than 75 watts through the slot, and any good power supply can drive more than 75 or 150 watts over those connections. In fact, one things I remember learning about was that there's actually some 6-pin connectors that the way they're wired up, the GPU can instead treat it like an 8-pin. Where exactly?
Mark that sulfur. We got plenty and more coming over.
Or is it just I need to go outside? Oh, no, let me try going. And I remember De Bauer did something, this was like, oh man, 2 years ago maybe? Where he was clipping cables off of an 8-pin. And basically, I think he got down to like 2 cables and it was still working fine. He was still able to send that much power over the cable.
Yes, don't worry. I will prep the truck adequately.
We got a powder cook.
So I feel it's just stupid because, you know, why are we just gonna come up with this new standard when chances are the majority of products today, you could just raise those limits. You just raise the standard on what you currently have. And you know, like have maybe not the exact same result. I mean, I doubt you'd want to do 600 watts over, well, maybe you could. But it's like, imagine, you know, pushing the PCIe slot even just up to 100 watts. Maybe the 6-pin up to 100 watts and the 150 to the 8-pin to 200, 250 watts. I mean, it's like if you did that, you'd probably, you know, just moving the standard up. And yeah, maybe there would be some power supplies that wouldn't really like doing that. But I still can't help but feel like you could investigate that instead, is basically rebasing the standard. Because, I mean, it's like, I remember still with the RX 480 when that first came out, how there's a big hubbubaloo about how it was a 6-pin connection, but some people are like, oh, it's drawing more than 150 watts, so it's, you know, pulling more power through the cable or through the PCIe slot, and oh, that's gonna burn out your motherboard, it's gonna set it on fire, and oh, this is terrible. And one idiot even saying that AMD is horrible because sorry, I'm a little focused on this. Because there's no way to possibly fix that in software. AMD then fixed it in software. But also, there was one company, one tech outlet, I don't remember who it was, I'm sorry, that literally grabbed their oldest motherboard, hooked that thing up, put an RX 480 in there without the software fix. Okay? And just to see how long it could go. And they ran that thing, with a constant workload for weeks. It might have been longer. Never any issue at all. And it's like, they did their best to have a worst case scenario there. And it didn't happen. It did not end up happening because it actually, it's all over-engineered today. Maybe not all. I should be fair with saying that because, okay, I have that built. There's a way, isn't there? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm just gonna. You could, in theory, still have like some of the OEM type system builds where motherboard is really crap there, or the power supplies there are really crap. But it's like, okay, yeah, that might be a situation to deal with, but I still feel like you could deal with that. That it's like, for the consumer motherboard market, though, you don't have to worry about this problem. At least it doesn't seem like that, based on that thing from years ago. At this point. Maybe I just wanted to have that thing go boom. But at least with what that design is, it's not like NVIDIA's weird-ass thing, where it's like, it's longer, it's thinner, but it's longer, you need an adapter for it. It's like, hell, I would not be surprised if it actually, like I said, I didn't actually look at this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually pin compatible with 8-pin. It's just got the extra 4-pin thing attached to it, such that you could just connect an 8-pin on there, and it would have less power, but maybe it would still function. But it's also, I just want to add, I really don't like how some people seem to be dedicated to the idea that we are going to enter a world of only very high power draw graphics cards. Because it's like, I mean, okay, yeah, the 3090 is ridiculous in its power draw. But why are we just going with the assumption, excuse me, that NVIDIA is not going to be able to get that under control with Lovelace? I think that's the next. And it's also, even if you want to go the route of saying, oh, but a multi-chip design is going to take more power. Like, we don't really have that in GPUs yet. Why don't we wait and see? Because when you enter a whole new world of design, that also means you have a whole new opportunity for efficiency, for optimization. So maybe let's not declare it's the apocalypse until we're actually at that situation. But no, I could see, though, that a situation of, because of multiple chips, that you need higher current for that, but at the same voltage. Because it would make sense to me that you need voltage for, like, getting across the chip, but to power multiple chips, multiple dies, that you need more current. I could see that being the case, not that I'm in any way even remotely competent for electronics. But I'm just saying that I could see that being the case. But it's also, I could see there being all kinds of methods to achieve, powering every chip properly that won't end up exploding the amount of power draw. I mean, it's also, think about it with CPUs. Not that CPUs and GPUs are perfectly relatable. No. That is definitely not the case. But it still is. AMD has these chiplet designs that murder Intel on power efficiency at the moment. Do you really want to say that you can't possibly achieve that with GPUs? It's let's be realistic. When entering new territory, that also means new opportunities to do things even better. So, yeah, I we'll have to see what PCI SIG does with the how it moves forward with a new power standard, and see also how GPU development continues. I do hope that we don't see a move towards these ultra power consuming GPUs, because I don't. While I agree with the sentiment that most people don't really care about the power consumption, it's like, so long as they can have it working, why care? The people buying these high-end GPUs, they don't care about power consumption so long as they have what they need so that it can run. It's like, if that's 1,000 watt power supply, great. If that's 750 watt power supply, that's great, just as long as they have it. But it still is, we want the cards to run cool. And, you're going to run into that issue. I mean, yeah, think about that. How, 600 watt, 600 watts being pulled by the GPU, that's a lot of heat that has to be dispersed. How are you going to do that? I'm saying that's... I do believe that people would be more upset than the power draw if it's like, oh, now everything has to be 3 slots. It's like, we kind of like having, access to more than 2 or 3 slots on the motherboard. I mean, seriously, think about it. Actually, maybe I couldn't do that. Just I could look to see on the test system, which is an MATX board. I don't know how far down the second full-size slot. It's only... Crap, I don't remember if that's... I think it's electric... Yeah, because it's a B450. I think electrically, it's only a by 4. So it cannot possibly do more than by 8, I want to say. I think the X470, though, you could have the other one be... You could have it be in by 8 by 8. Whereas I think with the B450 it was limited to by 16 by 4. Yeah, actually, I'm really certain that it is by 4.
She's in pain!
Because it has 2 M.2 ports on there, M.2 slots, and if I put something into the other one, it disables the that second full-length PCIe. But yeah, it's just I don't think that... I mean, you'd have to go to like triple slot cards in order to handle that much power consumption and heat production. And I think would upset a lot more people. That there would be enough AIB designers that are like, no, we can't do this. No one wants a card that thick. Or at least very few want a card that thick. Come on.
My black
I hit the button, you
fingertips,
just didn't do
secret
it.
work.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. Let me see. Skip over that. Yeah, I can talk about that. The RX 6600 release, which, as I said, I've not looked too closely at that, but does seem like a lot of the conclusions are basically that it's not a bad card, it's a bad price kind of thing. Because what's the MSRP? Like $330? And it's... I saw one person try to say that it is meant to be a, like RX 470 replacement. It's like if you have that, you would upgrade to this kind of thing. I don't know about that. But, it's like, I can understand the whole, yeah, that price sucks. But I think we should also acknowledge, you know, what the time is. The timing is. All GPU pricing sucks. And it might be better for AMD to have a higher MSRP than to, than to like do the MSRP that, you know, ignoring the situation would have, and then just see the pricing be that ridiculous. And I can see that being the case for multiple reasons.
Stay away from the grinder!
Damn it. Come on.
Mercy blow!
Alright. Finally got it.
Don't leave us here! We'll all be stratified!
But yeah, so I could see it being it's better for the board partners if if they don't end up selling the stuff at, you know, 200% of the MSRP, but only 100%. And also that might be, you know, it's like AMD being like, hey, we know you're going to be selling them. You're going to be able to sell these things at a higher value. So we're just going to, you know, sell to you at a higher value so that we get some of that. It's not just you getting it and not just the stores getting it. I mean, these are for, well, GPUs in particular, extraordinary times. So if you keep judging things based on non-extraordinary times without stating as much, you're doing a disservice. Like if you're a reviewer, it's like, you can't really do that. And that would be like comparing a indie game, a small indie game against, say, The Witcher 3. It's like, no, it was never meant to be like that. That comparison's wholly inappropriate because it's a different genre. And it's, I mean, I know that's not a perfect analogy, but it is, you know, you do need to consider the larger situation involved. And failing to is a disservice to whoever you're, in theory, marketing to.
Gotta get in there.
So yeah, I feel just, let's see what happens when things stabilize, and also when
Get down! A marksman!
there we go. All that. It's like, I'm just trying to go by. Yeah, when things stabilize, and also when AMD and NVIDIA, are putting, are able to put out, their supers, their 50s, whatever it is, that is an update, a refresh. It's like, so they have an opportunity then to reset the pricing. Next thing we can talk about is that AMD. So Ryzen line is now 5 years old. That's kind of nuts, isn't it? So AMD did a video between, who's it? Their chief marketing officer, was that it? And technical marketing director. I don't remember the exact position. But talking about not only how the 5 years has been, but also what the future holds for AMD CPUs and also a little bit GPU. And it was definitely interesting because one thing that they mentioned was that for the next platform, which let's assume is AM5, they didn't name it, but I mean that's a completely reasonable name. But that it will have DDR5 support, PCIe 5 support, and that they are trying to make sure that it will have crap. Come on, brain, turn over. Compatibility with the current coolers, AM4 designed coolers. Which also reminds me, the Noctua put out a few years ago now, the NHU12A, which is a 120mm tower cooler, and it's very nice. They did a lot of neat design things to it. But something else they did with it was launch their new, NF A12x25 fans, which are basically the best fans you can get today for how much air they can move and how quietly they can do it. And I bought 2 of those. I stuck those on the basically the same cooler. Well, actually no, it isn't. It's technically based on an older version of the U12. Technically based on that, but has the Threadripper cold plate on it. I bought 2 of the A12 fans to put on there instead of to replace the one NF fan that it came with. I want to get that project built. But anyway, Noctua has finally released the Chromax Black version of, well, both basically. The fan and the what is it? And the cooler. Because, I mean, I know there are people that don't like that aesthetic, and I also grant that in some ways, I don't necessarily, I mean, it's like, I wouldn't necessarily want, like, just massively, and it's like, the brown and tan all over a case. I can understand that, but at the same time, it's like, somebody that knows what that is would be like, oh, that's a high-quality product you have in there. It's not going to be a, like, oh, that looks bad to the people that understand. It's going to be a, oh, you put in some love and care here, basically. And that's that's why personally I don't have any issue with that coloring. But I'll grant, yeah, like, the black would probably look better. Yeah, I mean, that's, here nor there kind of thing. You know what? I really should talk to them about that mission. Figure out exactly what that is. You know what? That actually might be it. It might be that I just need to go over and build the armor. Which would be good. They also talked about in the video the idea of adding accelerators, which that would be like having a special AI accelerator, machine learning accelerator. Not necessarily, but you can imagine like the tensor cores on NVIDIA's GPUs, but like having tensor cores on a CPU, doing something like that. And just will AMD do that? Maybe not that specifically, but yeah, they are looking into the possibility of adding accelerators if it makes sense. It's like if there is a use case that would be useful, that would be beneficial for, and also if like for some of that stuff, if it can be used to improve performance. Another thing that they talked about that I found interesting, at least, were changes that they want to make with power states, like having greater depth to them, so a better ability to turn off cores and such that are not needed, both for CPUs and GPUs, as well as periphery circuits. Wait, there's another thing in there? I didn't even realize. I'm not gonna worry about it. But actually, wait. I just realized I should do that. How long have I been going? Half an hour. I'm still gonna do it. And I might as well talk to the person, figure out about the side mission. But I should take care of the minefields. Okay, so that is up. I do have to go and talk to her. But it wasn't, they did not only mention that prospect of just like being able to turn more things off in a design. They also talked about greater depth as far as it being able to tell, oh, this is a video game. That's word processing. We can power things a little bit differently because of that. Getting into that kind of nuance, which would definitely have potential.
The time has come for us to uproot. There's no way we can stand up to Gastown. I'm sending my young ones away. Across the Great White. Out the unknown.
They'll run out of fuel and die.
But we're not using fuel. We'll build a dune ship on wheels with a sail to catch the wind.
Why are you telling me this?
I think you might help me for a price. I've found a fitting sail. I know where to get it, but not how. As reward, treasure from the days of old. Still buried beneath the dunes and ruins.
Just see my signal, it's safe.
So that way it's set up.
Pity the young ones gotta go. This pink guy's gone.
Crap, what was there was something. That's right, the mixed chip design stuff. So Alder Lake would be mixed chip. It's like where they're combining different chip designs on the same product. And just the whole, it's like, oh, they can do that. And yes, basically, yeah, AMD is definitely investigating that. And there were even some rumors I remember seeing a while ago now about like Zen 5 is going to have Zen 2 and Zen 5 cores in it. And no idea if that's accurate. But basically what I think it was Robert Halleck was the one who was giving this information. Was essentially saying that I might as well talk to the person. That however they end up doing that kind of stuff, it's going to be based on how their Zen design philosophy, and finding out how to best make use of the low power and the high performance stuff within that design.
Famous slayer of warboys, sower of nuggets, driver of monstrous machines, and wastelayer of gas-plugging war camps. You are legend.
Thank you. I have no idea if that got me anything. Yeah. But, yeah, so that... And one thing that he did say that I do think is important to note was that the goal is for it to, whatever the solution be, that it be easy on the hardware. Easy on the software. So, like, right now, Alder Lake isn't out yet, but basically it is going to need Windows 11 so that tasks are properly scheduled there. So I'm pretty sure that's what he was basically implying, at least, that whatever AMD's mixed design solution is, it will not require as deep of an integration into software to work, or to work optimally.
Let me in! Like my thirst! Wedge it in there!
Come on.
Back! On with me!
On the trackball.
Deathless glory!
Ow. If I can just get to the minefield, I will be. Because they will not follow me into it. Question is, are they going to get out? Yes, they are. Yeah, so then the last thing I got here is actually relating to Windows 11, that apparently they really screwed something up for AMD processors with Windows 11. That at launch, it apparently increased cache latency, which is a big deal. I mean, it's like and it was also a significant increase. Apparently, was it TechSpot? No, wait. TechSpot, that's right. TechSpot did a write-up on it, but they also used Tech PowerUp as a source, where they ran Ada64 to get the cache timing. And they saw for the launch version of Windows 11, it went from 10 nanoseconds for cache latency to L3 to 17. And then after an update, it hit 34. Which is terrible. I mean, not that 34 is like objectively itself terrible. I just mean that you're seeing these latencies increase like that is terrible. Yeah, and it's they have to get that fixed. I mean that is very bad for Microsoft, if only because of the whole. That's the kind of stuff that they should not have allowed to happen. That they should have had systems where people were in fact collecting that data, seeing that, oh, there's a problem here, and then it should have been fixed before it went live. Now, it's possible that they did see some of this stuff, and I won't say that they chose not to act on it, but it might be that they were prioritizing something else. It's like they were certainly working with Intel to make sure Alder Lake was properly set up, and it might just been that they kept the focus there, and that, basically, does it still run on AMD? Yeah, alright, then we're gonna tackle that later. Not necessarily the most responsible solution, the most responsible approach, but I could see that being the case, and yeah, I mean, if that is the case, it's not a great decision, but I mean, it could be worse. But it is definitely, to me, it's like, well, I guess it's a good thing that I'm not anxious to upgrade the test system. Because of my 3 systems, that's the only one that can be upgraded. And it's like, no hurry. I think I talked about that in the previous one. That's like, I figure the test system I want to be representative of an average build, which at this point, it still is, but it's a bit older. I mean, it's only a 2700X. It would be better if it had like a 3700X or even a 3600X. But you know, it's still, I think, you know, within that realm of what I could expect an average user, an average reader to have. So I can just leave it at that. And I do also think that the average user is not going to upgrade to 11 for a while. That it has too many issues. And things like that. So I still need to find the mine. So I'm going to do that. Basically, I'm just going to drive around. I could also just try to look up a map, because I know they exist. And I looked at one before, but I don't feel like going out to do that. I'll just, you know, drive around. Because the dog does pick things up from a good distance. It's just the buggy's kind of crap for anything but this specific task. And I'm just thinking, anything else to talk about? As I said, I got about 50 pages left of the GPU article. Then I'll submit that, put the stuff up on GitHub, do all that fun stuff. After that is when I would like to start working on the return to review, I guess, would be a way to put it, of Dying Light, but the Platinum Edition, so with all the DLC. That potentially would be interrupted, though, because I might end up needing to record some videos in The Evil Within 2 for the other thing I do, where I record the heart rate. Although I will also be doing that with Dying Light. It's just I'm not necessarily committed to having that be like on schedule. Though I might. I mean, it does depend. And just, you know, what I feel like doing. Or if how the time looks at, it's like, nope, I have to do that. And there was some... Yeah, the Hell Raid? I think that's the name of it. DLC for it got an expansion. Which is kind of funny. An expansion getting an expansion? And it's all free. Try heading down now. So hopefully I will be able to get into the game in time to mess around with some of that, because it does look like it would be fun. With Dying Light 2, they put out a video that was fairly interesting, talking about the work that they had to do for making the soundtrack. In part because they couldn't have everyone there for the recording, and also the orchestra had to be recorded in sections instead of all together. Which, I mean, that, oh my god. The sound engineer for that, assuming that the soundtrack turns out well, which I think it will, I mean, they're gonna invest the time to make sure it comes out well. But just the sound engineer managing, and also the conductor managing to get all that stuff to work out well, that whenever there's, you know, awards for video game soundtracks, they, like, the next award show, there should be, like, a special carve-out for any of the soundtracks that had to be made under those conditions. Yeah, I mean, it's... But it will also be interesting to find out if there were any special advantages that came from such development.
Let's go running, Storm.
Well, such performance, I guess I should say. Because I could believe that even by having not every instrument there, it might let you realize that, oh, you know what? I should pick up the violins more. or the trumpets. It's like they should be a little bit quieter. And I mean, yeah, probably a good conductor wouldn't need to have them separated for that. I don't know. I'm not a musical conductor. But just I could see that, potentially because you're getting them isolated at recording, I could see it being a situation where that actually helps with figuring out figuring out ways you'd like to tweak it. The Crisis Remastered trilogy is out, which I don't have Crisis 3, so maybe at one point I will see about picking up the trilogy. I don't know. I enjoyed Crisis, the original Crisis. Crisis Remastered was, yeah, there was some benefits to it, but it's also like some of the controls and such I remember. I mean, it's one of the complaints I had in the review for Crisis Remastered was that there were certain things where it's like the way that Crisis originally did some of the suit controls, I think, are better, but they kind of shoehorned in that and how Crisis 2 does the suit powers, and it's like, it didn't really work that well. In theory, the remastered trilogy will be better because it was all designed around the other system. I mean, the point I was trying to get to when I started stammering to figure out what the hell I'm trying to say is that I could see myself and others being like, yeah, I could play Crisis Remastered, or I could just replay the original Crisis. I mean, it's not like it doesn't work. It's not like it's not a fun game.
I see the smoky pillars of pillage. All camps aflame. And you, bloody knuckles and deathly stare. Surely this is your work.
Actually, just remembered, I might actually have Crisis 3. I might have actually purchased that. I just don't remember.
A visitation of terror behind!
What? Ooh.
Back, RC?
Sit tight.
Yes, gladly. It is my sacred plight.
No. That. Okay. Well, hopefully I will be able to get out of this before the convoy gets here. I'm going the complete wrong direction. Ah well. Can I do it in the buggy? I'm not sure. I might be able to. It counted. Cool. Yeah, I got nothing. Only thing is, like, one project I kind of like the idea of doing, but I have no idea. Yeah, I'll mention it, but just understand I might never end up doing it, or it could be months. But if I do end up retiring the GTX 770, maybe it would be worth then. I mean, true, it would only necessarily be helpful for that specific GPU, but like an article on repasting and putting fresh thermal pads on a graphics card. As I said, it might only really be helpful for that specific GPU, but at the same time, you know, some of the knowledge might still be applicable. I don't know. Something I'd have to think about. And I certainly do have thermal paste. I got the PK1 I think it's PK1, that I got when I built the Threadripper system, and I've got the Noctua stuff that came with the cooler. So yeah, I definitely have new thermal paste I could use. Sure where I might be able to like just take cover. I think I just need to stay in the buggy. That hopefully will not end up exploding. I know this is a terrible idea, but I'm still gonna try to do it. It also might be that the entrance into that is just around on the other side. Oh wait, there's something right here. Aha! Now I'm safe. I was just wondering if that was a fuel dispenser. Seriously? That's funny. That the storm stopped. That's what I find funny. And it might have been that because I went inside and was sufficiently protected, that's like, oh, he's safe. We don't need to keep threatening him with this. I see it. It is a little annoying that you can't, that the cleanup crew thing doesn't pick these up. Oh, that mother loot thing reminds me, Borderlands 3 is having a free weekend and is doing a Maurice community challenge thing, which it's one of those. I could be playing Borderlands 3, except that I have an idea for how I want to play it. Which is, I want to do the Let's Play pluses for Borderlands 1 and 2. You can basically replay those games, recording it, and then get to Borderlands 3. Which I think is a good idea. It's just, it's going to take a while. And it's like, what? Crap, I'm trying to remember what the... I think Borderlands 1 and 2 are both, like, 15, 20 hours. Focusing just on, like, playing through. But I think I have more than 100 hours in both games. Now, true, not needing to actually review them, being able to just play for fun, would help. But still, it would take a while. And then Borderlands 3 after that. It'll be a while. Especially because I got other things I need to do first. Well, other things I need to do and other things I need to finish. But, I mean, it's all fun. I know, yeah, there's also that. I have that current part-time work, but that could end up becoming full-time permanent, which would complicate things. As far as, like, having free time, I'd have to move to, like, doing most of the stuff just in the evening and on weekend, instead of being able to have any time in the middle of the day. Which, you know, fair, that's probably what most people have as their situation, so... There'll be a will, so I'm sure I'll be able to find the way. Seriously, where's this? Ah, there. Alright. Let's do this. You know what? Actually, no. How long have I been going? Almost an hour. So... pull up guides here. Mine. Here we go. That's... Don't. Minefield, here we go. Oh, that picture would be better. Okay. I got that one, I think. So the other one, I need to head over here.
We're heading out.
It's actually not there. It's like over here. So yeah, I guess put that down. I thought that the path might have me close in. Yeah, so I got that on my mind. As far as, like, future projects. Borderlands 3. But yeah, no, I want to do Dying Light first in preparation for Dying Light 2, because I am acting under the assumption, that could be faulty, but still acting under it, that I will be able to get a key for Dying Light 2. Yeah, and I'm also trying to remember what... I don't remember what graphics card I had at the time. It's Dying Light... Sorry, no, I'm just... For Dying Light, I don't remember what graphics card I had at the time, as far as performance goes. That was also... Okay, no, I do remember. That was the same year as The Witcher 3. As I recall, that actually came out the same year as The Witcher 3. And this. I think it was all 2015. In which case, then... it would have been the 980. Or the 770. NVIDIA provided the 980 at about the time, a little bit ahead of The Witcher 3, so I did have that when I reviewed The Witcher 3. So the fact that I'm now using the RX 580, which...
I'll remember this.
Except for some, like, weird optimization type things, is very comparable in performance to the 980. So, should be good there as far as performance with Dying Light. But yeah, there are some times that I've noticed the 580 beating the 980. And I do chalk that up to, like, it's a newer architecture, and it has certain optimizations in there, certain improvements there that the 980 lacks. I want to say there have been times that I've seen the 980 beat the 580, but those are more often in games where it's like, okay, yeah, that was an NVIDIA optimized title. So that makes sense. And it, like, the margin wasn't that large, but I think I have seen one or two games that were, like, running DirectX 12, running Vulkan, where the 580 did truly beat the 980. I think.
What you got?
It's been a while. I couldn't tell you what that specific game was, it's over. But I want to say I have seen. But for the most part, they're neck and neck. And hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, the 580 is a fine card. The 980 at the time was a fine card. I should not have gotten out yet. Neither are up anymore for 1440p. The 580... It used to be able to punch to 1440. It still can. I mean, this game, I'm sure, would have no trouble with it. 1440. But other games, not so easily. Which also reminds me of because I know last week I talked about the Hardware Unboxed video where they were looking at the high presets. Apparently they did another video, and I've decided not to look at it, concerning the medium presets. And it's like, I've done this work before, I don't need to look at these videos. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a fact with a lot of games that you can go to medium, you can go to high, and for some of the settings, you will not notice it. You really and truly will not notice the visual impact. I don't think I did a performance analysis for Dying Light. I may have, though. I don't remember. It's been a while. Okay. Okay. So, because I have the buggy and that map up, I'm just gonna take care of these things quickly. Nah, I'm just... Whoops. This is bad. Actually, I wonder, will they? They won't. Even though it's clear, they still avoid it. That's actually really, really helpful.
Do something!
I also just remembered another game that I'd like to do some recordings in. Would be the newer Deus Ex games, so Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. Mankind Divided I did review, so I can like legitimately do that as a Let's Play Plus. Human Revolution, though, I'd come up with some reason. Even if it is just a... I want to do recordings in this game, because it's a fun game. I played it before. It's quite good. Mankind Divided isn't bad. There are ways it could be better, but you know, it still is a good game. I mean, I think I played through that 2 or 3 times. I know twice. I think I may have actually played through 3 times because I did genuinely enjoy it. I don't remember how many times I played through Human Revolution, though. I think 3 times. So I think I did twice where, you know, basically the good run and then the asshole run. Because you gotta do that in so many games that are decision-based and have morality stuff, too.
This is not gonna be easy.
I'm not even bothering with that. I just... Okay, it's over here. But I think with Human Revolution I did do another run through because the Missing Link DLC expansion thing that it had, they integrated into it. And I think I did play it play through the whole thing, although not as the director's cut. Where the director's cut, what they did with that is they actually integrated, because the missing link was actually, okay, at one point in the game, Adam Jensen is buried on a cargo ship. They put him in a thing and he gets transported. And what Missing Link is it's set while he's on the ship, where he is in fact woken up and he ends up having to do stuff there. Which none of that is in the original game. He just gets on the ship and gets off, basically. Which I want to say I like that design. As far as just the creativity of having content, making this intentional spot that you can then place additional content in, as opposed to so many other games today where it's just, oh yeah, this is like set after the main events of the game, or it's set like just before the end because the end is somehow disruptive. It's like I do like that, but it also reminds me how GTA Online is kind of a weird one. Because the events of GTA Online technically happen before the events of the main game, I want to say. But the funny thing is that you have he's actually finding. That's what that whine is. What the hell is he barking? I do not know what he's doing. I just feel like since I'm here, I'll clear this out. But you have in GTA Online, though, all these different, like, really, really advanced vehicles and such.
A walking scout. Welcome.
You know, like flying cars and such, and it's like those aren't in the base game, so it's one of those you kind of, by going with this being prequel, have screwed some things up as far as like timeline doesn't make so much sense. Like why do the main characters not have access to these things?
Get ready.
But I mean, it's they wanted to be able to make sure that they could access certain things without spoiling events. I can understand doing it, but it's like you kind of painted yourself in a corner with certain aspects. Now, it would be interesting. I doubt it would happen. Like, really, really doubt it. But it would be interesting if you did end up seeing, like, a GTA 5.5. Where, like, as far as certain additions to GTA Online, it's like, that's ended. And GTA 5.5 would be, like, all the stuff is integrated in. So this way, the story makes sense with everything that you find and are able to do in GTA Online. As said, it wouldn't happen. That would take far more effort than it's worth. But it still would be interesting. If only as an idea, dude. Where is the last... Ah, there. Perfect. Alright, now let's take care of the minefield, which also just occurred to me, it hasn't even shown up on the map yet. So I really don't know what he's barking. It's like, it's right here. One more, and then I will warp back to Pink Eye's stronghold, and should be able to be done. Oh, I just remembered one more thing to mention. Not that I believe that anyone would watch these videos, let alone watch this far. But One Up Keyboards, it's one of the places I got keyboard stuff from. They have restocked the One Up 60 HSE, which is a 60% hot swap PCB that also has RGB LEDs on the bottom. They've restocked actually like a revision of that today, because I'm recording this on Friday. They restocked that, and that's what they provide me with and what I'm using right now. And I really like the keyboard that I've built around that. I like the features of the board. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do worse for PCBs. For custom keyboard PCBs, and is hot swap, which is really nice because just the whole there are two things that I like with hot swap. One is, yeah, I can change out the switches if I ever want to. These switches, though, the Boba U4s, I'm happy with them as they are. I doubt I'm going to change that out in this build. The other thing that's really nice is if I ever want to take it apart to lubricate the stabilizers or change out the stabilizers, put in something that might be better in whatever way, I can. If it was soldered, I couldn't do that because I wouldn't be able to get the plate off to get access to the stabilizers. It's like that is one additional reason to like hot swap, not just the whole not needing the solder. That's a good reason. Don't get me wrong. That is a good reason. But being able to get to the stabilizers, I like that. And actually, let me do this. I just want to see what the price is. I remember roughly what they are, but I want to see. 50. Yeah, that's about right. I was thinking like 45 to 55. Yeah, at $50. That's what they currently have them priced at, and that is basically what I remember it being. And personally, I think that's a fair price. I mean, it's not that I really know pricing throughout the PCB, custom keyboard PCB market that well. I'm just thinking the only competitor that I can think of by name for a hot swap 60% PCB would be stuff from KBD fans, which is that the DZ60? I think it's the DZ60, but I think that's also around $50. I haven't looked for a while, and I don't feel like looking now because I should be stopping. But One Up Keyboards may have certain advantages to it because, like, if you in the US, they're in New York and they do free shipping. Whereas KBD fans is, I believe, Chinese. And it does, I don't know if they have a distribution center in the US. It might actually have to come from China. So you're having to wait weeks, potentially, to get some of the stuff. I think that's the case for some of it. I could be completely wrong or partially wrong. Like, some things get here much faster than others. I'm not sure. But it's, the shipping situation might be a reason for One Up Keyboards. And I remember even seeing comments, somebody talking about that is an advantage to them with One Up, is that, yes, they might be charging a little bit more than other places, but that free shipping makes up for it. And for me, I mean, I'm in Ohio, they're in New York. Anything I've ordered from them has gotten here in like 2, 3, maybe 4 days. It's like pretty damn quick for free shipping. Now that could have just been my good fortune, so there was that, but it still is. I've been very happy with my experience working with them, both as a consumer buying stuff from them and also with the review stuff. All right, that's it then. I'll just see you next week, and I'll also just okay. So next week I'll probably be in Mad Max again. The week after, though, I might be in Satisfactory because it's update 5. I think that's October 26th that releases. And I will definitely want to look at that. And I also just remembered I saw something the other day. Going Medieval, I believe it is. Let me go back. There are definitely things I don't care about the design. I don't see it listed there. I'll just look at it. There's some aspects of the design that Steam went to that I don't always care for. Is it? I don't. They're here, maybe? Yeah, there's stuff on the experimental branch for Going Medieval. Okay. Come on. I'm not seeing what it was anymore. The stuff that was added. But basically, it seems like some of the content that I would be looking forward to for Going Medieval, like bringing in caravans, I think, apparently on the experimental branch. I don't have the time to like install the experimental branch and look at it, but we might be seeing another major update to Going Medieval coming out soon, and I will do recording of that then, whenever that happens. So yeah, it's like I don't know when that'll be, but probably next week Mad Max, the week after Satisfactory, update 5. We'll just have to see how it goes, but that I think is how it will end up happening. All right. See you next time.